conflict always arises where you have groups of people, right? Always. And particularly if you have an environment where you're changing things, where things are moving rather quickly. I think conflict here is definitely brought out into the open quickly. And it's brought out into the open in a very positive way. And I think you also have to remember that we're very lucky because we don't have a great deal of fear here. We haven't had lots of, reductions in force. We've been excruciatingly lucky in terms of not having to deal with the economy in the same way that some companies have. So our employees do feel a degree of, comfort. So conflict tends to happen when there's fear, when there's concern, and there's less of that here. That's the first thing. But I think when conflict happens, you've got to bring it out in the open. You bring it out in the open fast, and you don't interfere. So I don't think we would ever manage conflict top down. So if I can think of an example actually where the guy that I support had two of his people who absolutely were almost at daggers drawn over a certain part of the organisation. They both wanted to have responsibility for it. And he just said, you senior guys, sort it out. Sit down in a room and sort it out, and don't come out till you've sorted it out. And that's sort of how we would do this.
Really? So managers don't step in?
Very rarely. I wouldn't. If two of my team were fighting over something, the last thing I would want to do is to come up with the answer. I would really ask them to sit down in a room and work it out themselves. What good would it be if I jumped in? I'm just going to really alienate one party.
I mean, there's so many brilliant people here. If they're fighting over wanting to move up in the company, how do you manage that? I mean, they can't necessarily work that out themselves in a room. Someone from the top has to make a decision.
Well, again, I don't think it happens a lot. And I know that's a terrible answer to you, but I really, really don't. But of course we'd step in. And the way you step in is you just talk to the person who is the loser, in inverted commas, very, very honestly. So if, for example, you and another were up for promotion and you were successful and another wasn't, I would spend a whole load of time with another explaining why and really helping that person work through what they've got to do to get there. So it's all about honest dialogue. It's all about treating these people as individuals as they'd want to be treated in their own personal lives.